The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
We've been watching some spotty showers on the radar, seeing some dark clouds on live cam, some rain in this view, even hearing some rumbles of thunder. But will that amount to any meaningful rainfall? Adam Caskey keeping an eye on it all, and we'll have the latest in your Weather Authority forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
As new COVID cases come in, the city of San Antonio's overall case numbers still dropped yesterday.
That's because the city removed 619 cases from its totals, mostly because of duplicates.
Garrett Berger is here to explain how it happened and what it means.
As the city gets ready to transition to a new case tracing system for COVID-19 cases, it's been cleaning up its data.
So that when starting tonight, we transition all of that data into the Texas Health Trace system, it's all 100% accurate and ready to go.
When they checked, not all of it was ready to go. Assistant City Manager and Acting Metro Health Director Colleen Bridger says there were hundreds of duplicates. Here's why. When a COVID test comes back positive, the city gets multiple reports about it from the lab, the doctor, the hospital.
So it's not unusual to get notified about somebody's COVID test results 3 or 4 or sometimes even 5 times.
And there's even more if someone got tested at multiple places. And with each report coming in, there's a chance for something to be off, causing it to be counted as a separate case.
Somebody's name could be spelled wrong, somebody's date of birth could be off, somebody's address could be off.
An automated computer process caught most duplicate entries before they were ever reported in the tally, Bridger said. Most of the 619 cases removed yesterday were ones that had to be found by people after the fact.
A handful of them, though, were just people who turned out to not live in Bexar County. While their address might have seemed like Bexar County, once geocoded, it turned out they were actually from someplace like Atascosa or Comal County.
In all, the cases removed yesterday represent about 1.5% of more than 41,000 total.
These are cases that go back to March. So no, it doesn't change really anything about where we are.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Bridger says the new system the city is using makes it much easier to find these duplicates, so she does not expect the same issue going forward.
Governor Greg Abbott reaffirming today that he believes school districts should decide when and how to reopen. And today, many teachers asking administrators to use that flexibility by keeping campuses closed until it is safe. Today, the San Antonio Alliance of Teachers and Support Personnel rallied, asking district leaders across San Antonio to commit to virtual-only instruction for at least the first 9 weeks of school, and to keep all the campuses closed until there is a decline in new cases for at least 14 consecutive days, a positive test rate of less than 5%, and a transmission rate of less than 1%.
Now we understand that in-person learning is more effective than online teaching, but that's not the question. The question is what is safest. And when you look at the conditions in San Antonio and Bexar County, the safest thing for us to do is to educate our students remotely and service them from a distance the best that we can.
The San Antonio Independent School District released a statement today that states in part, quote, "Everything we do is with the intention of safety. We continue to monitor the current environment to determine how to best open schools for students. We will continue remote learning beyond Labor Day if we feel that is needed," end quote.
New at 6, it is the biggest spike in adoptions and fosters that Animal Care Services has ever seen. The steady increase began when people were isolated at home during the county-wide pandemic restrictions, then spiked drastically when that order was lifted. Courtney Friedman with the information that advocates need you to know before you make the decision to adopt a pet.
This is typically the busy season at Animal Care Services.
We usually are packed full, unfortunately, are high end of euthanasia. And, right now we have, a little bit less intake and we have, adopters coming. So it's just a really, really great mix.
ACS Assistant Live Release Manager Christine Ellen says the coronavirus crisis has fueled a surge in adoptions and fostering.
We have bookings that are out for weeks sometimes.
It's now mandatory to make an appointment to visit pets on site to comply with COVID precautions.
We maintain our the amount of people inside each kennel. Nobody can come on site unless they are wearing a mask.
While the number of adoptions is exciting, ACS wants to remind people that owning a pet is a big responsibility.
We want adopters to understand that pets are for life. and not necessarily just crisis companions.
Ellen says some pet owners struggling financially with this crisis have had to surrender their pets, but others are reaching out for help to avoid that situation. The San Antonio Food Bank's Daisy Cares pet food program has been swamped and is in great need of donations.
So if you want to adopt like Phoebe, or you just want to foster to see if you're up for it, call the number on your screen. Reporting from home, Courtney and Phoebe, KSAT 12 News.
In an effort to ramp up testing across the city, Metro Health announcing 3 locations for free testing through the month of August for COVID-19. Those locations include Cuellar Community Center, Ramirez Community Center, and Freeman Coliseum. Testing at the community centers does not require an appointment. Testing at Freeman Coliseum can be scheduled by calling 833-213-0643. We've provided that number as well as hours of operation for these testing sites on our website at KSAT.com.
New at 6, COVID-19 forcing the justice system into making some major changes in the way things operate, from the moratorium on jury service to remote hearings. Paul Venema with a look at an innovative approach to a graduation ceremony in the mental health court dictated by the pandemic.
This graduation ceremony, complete with caps, gowns, and diplomas, was recorded on video last week with these conditions.
They wouldn't have any family members there. However, we would air it later and then they could all watch it with their family members.
COVID courthouse protocol kept family members from attending the actual ceremony. The graduation will not be official until the 14th when the video is posted.
When COVID hit, I admit, I was very worried about my mental health patients and how they would do.
Especially, she said, patients with specific mental health issues.
Some of them that suffer from severe anxiety or depression, they did excellent. They didn't have to get in their car, drive all the way to the courthouse, pay parking, and see me. Those blossom.
Participants in the 12-month mental health court program are misdemeanor cases with underlying mental issues referred from other courts. Referrals, Huff said, that have been increasing since the pandemic.
A week hasn't gone by that I haven't had at least 2 to 5 new participants in the mental health court.
Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
Time saver traffic here, 1604 in Culebra. You can see the roads are wet out there. You can see all the reflection of the headlights, definitely slowing things down. This looks like some significant rain, at least in this area of town.
Some ponding on the ground there, or as you know, our producer Bill said, rooster tailing.
Rooster tails.
I call it ponding. He calls it rooster tailing. But whatever's happening, the rain is descending on San Antonio, Adam.
Ponding I get. Rooster tail, yes. I call it road spray, right?
Okay.
It picks up from the back.
I like that.
Anyway, there's a look at our camera kind of in and out because of the lightning in the area. A little bit of lightning and thunder with these downpours. And of course, we could use the rain. We all know we could use it. Check out the temperature now, down to 77 degrees at the airport with that rain cooled air. Meanwhile, you get to Pleasanton, it's 98. Hondo, 95 for now, but you even have some rain in your area. All right, taking a look at the radar more closely here. A good swath has developed. We have this northwesterly flow aloft and a really potent impulse of energy embedded within it. And that has really helped to kickstart these showers and get them to be a little more widespread here. You go along Highway 90, Sabinal eastward. We're starting to see that rain fill in a bit, pushing southward, basically surrounding Castroville right now. But it looks like you'll have your own opportunity at the rain momentarily. Bandera County, it's starting to move out of there, even hitting Medina Lake, Lake Hills area. It's really Bexar County up into Comal County where we have some of the heaviest downpours at this time. And this is some good soaking rainfall. I think we could get over an inch in some spots where it lasts the longest. But this is really only going to take us through about sunset, and it's progressing southward slowly. So those of you on the south side of town, basically Somerset, Von Army, over toward Elmendorf and Calaveras Lake area, you could probably see the flashes of lightning off in the distance, see the dark clouds. I think you'll get your opportunity, though, as this impulse continues to track southward. So now it's mostly on the north side of town, moving into downtown, and then I expect it to progress southward into the southern portion of San Antonio and Bexar County. So there's a look at the basically 410 right here and 35 on the southwest side. A little bit of lightning associated with it. SeaWorld area, Alamo Ranch getting the downpours, and right up the 281 corridor as well. And the aquifer, obviously, could use it. It's down a little bit today, just 1/10 of a foot to 657.3 in the 10-day average. 656.4. Here's your pollen count, just mold today. Very high, likely to be very similar tomorrow as a result of the rain that we have out there right now. We'll be back with your full forecast, which unfortunately does not entail as much luck in terms of afternoon showers. But if you like triple-digit heat, you'll love the 7-day. We'll see you in a bit.
Kids gymnastic businesses are becoming virtual learning camps to help working parents. I'll explain tonight.
And state-of-the-art technology providing an additional level of critical care at one of our local hospitals. Tonight on the Night Beat, I'll look at the electronic intensive care unit that's helping save lives.
We want to take a look here at different TransGuide cameras throughout San Antonio. You can see some heavy rain coming down here at I-10 and Pro Brandt. This is a view we haven't seen in quite some time. The rain definitely slowing things down out there. And Adam says some areas of our viewing area could get some good soaking rain.
Yeah, here's I-35 at Loop 410, and you can see again kind of the similar scene that we saw at I-10 and Pro Brandt. Just a lot of rain out there. Beneficial rain.
That's the kind we like.
It's the kind we like. All right, we continue to wait for the mayor and county judge to give us their daily update on the coronavirus totals.
And we reported earlier that 600 some cases were removed from the city's totals over the weekend. That's because tonight, again, the city is essentially transforming the way that it keeps track of all those numbers. Let's go to City Hall.
Which is typically low on Mondays, also reflects a lag in reporting on Sundays. So keep that in mind. We're also converting to Texas Health Trace data and online data management hosted by the state of Texas to ease and make more efficient this whole process of data management for this pandemic. So the numbers are a little bit low tonight. We want to keep that in mind. We are reporting 56 new cases of COVID-19 since yesterday, which brings our total to 41,138 in our community since the pandemic began. Remember, however, that our daily average for the past 7 days is a better reflection of the trending of these cases, and that number over the past 7 days is 760. So do not let your guard down. I want to talk now about the indicators that we update every Monday, which tells you where we are with regard to the risk level in our community. We are at a risk level between severe and critical, meaning that there is still widespread community transmission out there. Most of our indicators now, however, are starting to move in the positive direction, but still not where we need them to be. Although testing capacity, doubling rate, and contact tracers are in the green, we're still not seeing a sustained decline in cases, and the positivity rate is still hovering around 15%, much higher than we need it to be, especially with schools thinking about opening in September, and the hospitals remain under severe stress. So keep those in mind, keep those indicators in mind as we go through the next weeks. I must say it again. This is not a time to relax. The last time we did this, we saw the virus spread rapidly. Everything was going great in April and then into May, and then we let our guard down, and then the virus, you see where it's put us in July. So please continue to practice physical distancing, wash your hands, wear a mask, avoid gatherings. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about what's happening in our hospitals as well as the deaths that we're reporting tonight. We have 2 new deaths to report tonight, unfortunately, bringing our total to 370. Both were Hispanic females in their 50s with underlying health conditions, and please keep them in mind and their families in mind. We've lost vital members of our community, and we need to keep them in our prayers. Over in our hospitals, we are tonight reporting 886 people in the hospital, a slight uptick, yet still down from the more than 1,000 patients we saw daily through most of the month of July. 350 in the ICU, which is down 7, and 238 on ventilators, which is down 8 from yesterday. 51% of ventilators available and 16% of hospital beds available. Those numbers are getting better, but our hospital system, we have to emphasize, still remains under severe stress. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about the reporting of COVID-related deaths. You may have noticed or read about a discrepancy between our numbers and those reported by the state of Texas. There will always be a differential between the COVID-19 deaths reported by Metro Health and the state of Texas, primarily due to timing of reporting. The state receives the data before Metro Health does, and Metro Health investigates to confirm actual COVID-19 diagnosis prior to reporting it in our totals. That said, after analyzing each death certificate from the state's count, as of yesterday, there were approximately 175 cases still under investigation. Of those, about 2/3 were in the pipeline for us to confirm and report. However, we do disagree with the categorizing of the remaining 1/3 as Bexar County COVID deaths because they did not have a COVID positive test, or the person was erroneously assigned to Bexar County when his or her residence was outside of the county. Under normal circumstances, again, not during a pandemic, the state reports death certificates, vital records, years after the death occurs, which gives all the parties the time to reconcile and adjust these types of discrepancies. Reporting deaths within days of the event can lead to some of these discrepancies in data, but please know that we are holding our standards very high to make sure there's accuracy as we report the death numbers, and we will continue to do that, but there will be some slight adjustments as we move along. Again, we're moving.
All right, because we have some weather going on and, we're getting into discrepancies between the county and the state's numbers, Metro Health and the state's numbers. We're going to move on, but 56 new cases. Mondays are usually low. I don't know that I remember being that low. We are 41,138. Our 7-day average, though, is 760 cases per 24-hour period.
And the mayor again saying that even though we did see 56 new cases reported, again, a very low number compared to what we're used to, certainly not a time to let our guard down. We must keep up the social distancing and mask wearing. He talked about moving to what's called the Texas Health Trace System, which is what led to the discrepancy of Metro Health removing hundreds of cases from the total count over the weekend, although we did hear from the Metro Health director earlier saying that's still less than 2% of the total, but certainly it gives a different perspective on the total number that are really out there.
Yeah, and the numbers I heard today that I paid special attention to, we're still at 15% positivity rate. They'd like that to be more like 4 or 5%, 16% available hospital beds. That continues to rise, which is good news. Also good news, people are saying that we're not giving them any good news with all that's going on. We are in the middle of a pandemic, but it is raining outside, which is great news in August.
That is fantastic, Adam.
And this is some really good rainfall, actually. We're looking at some pretty hefty downpours here, and Brian Olson in Bulverde already reported over an inch of rain in his rain gauge. You look across South Texas, and the vast majority of the rain is basically from about central Uvalde County eastward, and especially into San Antonio and Bexar County. You see there's a little bit of lightning and thunder associated with this. These white lines indicate those lightning strikes, and yes, a little bit of snap, crackle, pop, but nothing severe associated with this. All right, I can turn off the lighting so it's not a distraction for you. Stop the radar screen just right here. And you see this leading edge of development is pushing southward. So now through Lackland area, moving into parts of the south side, you get down toward Palo Alto College. And this is 410 here on the south side of town, all the way around to China Grove, and Calaveras Lake starting to get clipped, in Elmendorf, Browning Lake area as well. I anticipate some more development your way. You get elsewhere up into the New Braunfels area, I-35 corridor. This is some very good rainfall that we're seeing. So let's talk about actual rainfall accumulations out there and how much we've actually seen so far. It's coming down at a pretty good clip. So you look at the rainfall estimates from the radar, and the green indicates about an inch of rain, and the darker green, even more than an inch of rain that has already fallen. So, for example, here you get in the Bulverde area, and you get just east of Bulverde, over an inch already estimated. You get on the west side of town, about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. That's in the SeaWorld area. So this is pretty impressive here, and this is good to see. We anticipate this lasting through about sunset. We'll have this activity. These blossom up, rain themselves out, and then you see new storms blossom up, and this is all gradually pushing southward. Now, in terms of the forecast, clearing after sunset. We'll see some gradual clearing as the rain comes to an end. Light and variable wind, and tomorrow we'll start the day at 77, making it up to 101 with a lot of sunshine. And unfortunately, I don't think we'll be as lucky the rest of the week. Just a lot of sunshine and highs at or slightly above 100 with little to no chance of rain.
You know, you can hear it rumbling
It's so
outside
nice
from
to
here in
hear.
the studio.
Beautiful.
We'll
isn't it?
enjoy
Nice.
that, looking at that.
Turn off your sprinkler systems this week.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adam.
We'll be right back.
Our San Antonio Spurs have their first shot at back-to-back games inside the NBA bubble tonight when they face the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 3 of their NBA restart. That's after the Spurs won their first 2 games against the Kings and more recently the Grizzlies to move it in the 9th playoff position in the Western Conference standings, just 2 games behind the Grizzlies in the 8th and final playoff spot following the narrow 108-106 victory. In that game, Patty Mills finally got on the court for the first time in Orlando, in part because the Spurs were down another 2 men, Marco Bellinelli and Bryn Forbes, and he was able to score 10 points in 13 minutes.
The value of me being able to still continue to develop and help these young guys and help them grow is obviously on the court. So it was good to get out there with them, on a big win. But from my standpoint, the biggest thing is honestly seeing these young guys and the opportunity that they've had to be able to take it with both hands and really grow.
And they'll be shorthanded again tonight. No Bryn, no Marco. Tip time 7 p.m. Highlights for you tonight on the Night Beat. The Dallas Cowboys had their 3rd player opt out of their training camp. Fullback Jamize Olawale has decided not to play due to the concerns over the coronavirus. Players had that option to get paid a flat rate of $150,000 or $350,000 if they're considered high risk. Like the Cowboys, the Houston Texans taking all the necessary precautions during the coronavirus outbreak that, like San Antonio's, hit Houston extremely hard. This is video supplied by the team of all the precautions in place to keep camp going for now and hopefully the season. One of the biggest challenges, especially for a quarterback, is getting time to work out during the offseason in the middle of a pandemic with new wide receivers such as Randall Cobb, who signed as a free agent, and Brandon Cooks from the Rams trade.
Making sure that they're on the same page of what we're doing and what we're working out and who we've been around and checking temperature and things like that, staying sanitized. So, it's been good the times we've been working out, but it's also been difficult and kind of, nerve-wracking because we haven't been able to work out as much as, we wanted to. But at the same time, we've been FaceTime testing, doing a lot of mental work. So whenever they came in, they were ready and prepared.
Speaking of workouts, monumental day as high school football teams in the state of Texas in classes 1A to 4A are allowed to begin workouts in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. That includes the Badland Beavers of Falls City, who compete in District 16 2A Division II, a 17 district that includes Yorktown and Pettis. Falls City welcomes back Mark Kirchhoff as their athletic director and head coach, returning to town where he coached the Badland Beavers from 1996 to 2011 and led Falls City to the state championship in 2010. After coming out of retirement, he's ready to return and get the Badland Beavers back to the state championship. He's coming back at a very good time after Falls City finished 13-2 last year after going undefeated in district, made it all the way to the state semifinals where they eventually lost to state champion Mart. Coach Kirchhoff welcomes back 7 starters, 3 on offense, 4 on defense, led by quarterback Jackson Pipes, who threw for 1,800 yards and 23 touchdowns.
I heard he was coming back from 2010, and I liked our old coach, but you got to adapt to what you get, and he's a really good coach. I really enjoy it.
It's just fun to go back, and the program is maintained, and they've got a great tradition here, great community support. And the kids are still Falls City kids. They work hard every day, and we're just excited to be here.
Yeah, one of my favorite teams in the local area, the Badland Beavers, will kick out their 2020 season on the road in Three Rivers Friday, August the 28th at 7:30. So it's really game on and things as usual right now for all the teams from 1A to 4A.
I like that we're doing these previews.
Yeah, and
it's some sense of normalcy.
It does, yes.
Feels good.
It does feel good. Thanks, Greg.
You got it.
Our KSAT Q&A up next. We are living with so many unknowns during this pandemic, and in this segment, we try to eliminate at least some of that to provide you with the information that you need. One of those unknowns has been the effect of this new normal on kids, from social distancing to mask wearing to heading back to school in the time of COVID. Joining us for today's KSAT Q&A is child and adolescent psychiatrist with UT Health San Antonio, Dr. Donna Roybal. Doctor, thanks for being with us today. I want to first ask you the best ways that parents can try to prepare their kids for what's going to be a drastically different school year. The social distancing, the mask wearing, not being able to move as freely throughout their schools as kids are used to. What should parents be talking to kids about right now?
I think it's just important to, like you said, prepare them and let them know that they will have to stay within a certain area around their desk, or their square, whatever it is, whatever age group they're in, and whatever it is the school is preparing them for, providing them with to stay in that area. To let them know that they should wear their mask at all times. And it's also important to let them know that if one of their friends does come up close to them or touches them, that that's okay. They don't need to be overly anxious about that, and that they can just address that calmly as they would within their own family.
How do you address some of these tough questions that are inevitably going to come up? How do you explain what a pandemic or COVID-19 or coronavirus is to some of these kids?
For the younger ones, it's just important to let them know that let them know the behaviors you want them to see. So you can, of course, let them know that it's something out there like the flu or when you're sick, and that you just don't want them to obviously spread that or catch it on their own. And it's important to put it in their terms and emphasize that they should stay within their own area and keep their mask on. For the older kids, of course, they understand more. And I think it's harder for teenagers because they are so also more likely to socialize and kind of forget about those sorts of boundaries that we need to keep. But it's important just to keep those reminders and to model the behavior that you want to see your kids have, model that in yourself.
All of these barriers, I think, have been hard on all of us. So kids especially, I would imagine, could potentially have a tough time with this. And there's also going to be kids who are remote learning. They may not go back to school for quite some time. So what are some red flags that parents ought to look out for just to see if their kid may be struggling with these quote unquote new normals? How should parents address problems?
Absolutely. So one of the behaviors we've already seen and emotions we've seen come out in kids so far during this sort of stay-at-home kind of edict is basically kids becoming quite irritable or anxious and acting out in different ways. So when their behavior becomes just irritable in that way, and it's nothing that seems to be able to be soothed by the parent or a loved one, that's when you become concerned, and you should probably come and talk to a professional about that. But usually acting out behavior, some kids have been very anxious about getting sick or spreading the virus. Other kids have become more isolative, more quiet. So any changes in behaviors that you see from your own child, and parents know their child best usually, is a cause for concern.
You brought up something that really struck me. Model the behavior that you want your kids to take with them. Explain that a little bit.
Sure. So especially for the little ones who have a harder time grasping and understanding of the illness, of course, it is important for them to just see that their parents are doing what we would like them to do to keep everybody safe, which is to wear your mask, to do your safe social distancing, to make sure that you're not going to other people's homes in large groups and things like that, and to follow the guidelines that have been set out to be safe during this pandemic. And if the kids see the parents doing that, then the little ones will most likely do what their parents are doing. And that's important for the younger ages.
You mentioned that younger age. I think so many kids who are younger, they learn by doing. With going out to restaurants, they learn how to behave in that scenario, going to the grocery store. A lot of kids haven't been doing that lately. So once we're able to move more freely about, maybe have a little less restrictions, and parents feel more comfortable taking their kids out in public, should we prepare for any kind of regressive behaviors, or perhaps taking 2 steps back simply because kids have not been in these scenarios for quite some time?
Yeah, I think there will be a set of kids that are so excited to see other people and see their friends that they may forget about the boundaries that they have to keep in terms of social distancing. And then there will be the kids who are sort of afraid and wondering what this big new world means again, especially in areas like ours that have been hot zones and they've been stuck inside for so long. So you may see some regressive behaviors in some kids, or you may see the extreme opposite where they're just really excited, they're running around, and you need to kind of rein them in and keep them in their own family circle, if you will.
With so much anxiety and so much stress out there, thank you for giving us some tips on just how we can deal with some of the younger ones that are in our lives. Dr. Donna Roybal from UT Health San Antonio, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
We'll be right back.
Tell you what, as we look at radar, it really seems as if this storm is just centered right on San Antonio proper right now, and it is lit up on radar. That unfortunately means some of the emergency lights are also lit up around town. This is the northbound lanes of I-35 at Tupper Wine.
You can see you've got emergency responders there on the side of the road. We've got an accident to report. Definitely the road's wet out there. We're still hearing those rumbles of thunder in the area. And Adam, this rain, like Steve said, we're looking at radar and it is just sitting right over top of us at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. It's nice to see. We had really good development with this impulse of energy that's been moving overhead. And we don't see this type of setup very often this time of year. And it's nice to see our atmosphere really taking advantage of this energy that's moving overhead, causing some good areas of rainfall. And you look just at Bexar County and surrounding counties over the past 2 hours, and that's good radar coverage, great for the aquifer, good for everybody's lawns, gardens, and of course, ranches and pastures this is great for as well. Already over an inch of rain reported by rain gauges, even on the west side of town. Alamo Ranch area, 1.73 inches I noticed on one of the rain gauges there. All right, we'll take a closer look at the radar, who's getting the rain, how much has fallen, and much more, including triple-digit heat coming right up.
For people living on the East Coast, the buzz is definitely focused on Isaias as the storm continues its trek along the coast. But not everyone going to be waiting out that storm, like the goats on a famous tourist attraction, Goat Island.
Yeah, a group of people were out early this morning with boats to help get the goats to safety before the weather gets more dangerous near the Murals Inlet. Of course, it's not as easy as it sounds just to load up animals and float away. They have to be caught first, so that means lassos, chasing, tricking, and coaxing them onto that boat.
A lot of steps involved.
Yeah, a lot of nays.
As of this past weekend, the first underwater museum is open for business in Greece. Now divers can explore some of the oldest shipwrecks in the world, appropriately called the Parthenon of shipwrecks.
Yeah, dating all the way back to 500 BC, certified divers can visit the archaeological site off the island of Alonissus. I'm sure I said that probably wrong, but Alonissus. Through October 2nd, these happen in guided tours. For those that can't dive, they can follow a virtual reality from the island.
All right. So with triple-digit heat in the forecast pretty much every day this week, we're all going to be looking for something to help us cool off, like something that is 92% water, can weigh more than 200 pounds, and bred for sweetness. Watermelons. Today is National Watermelon Day.
Yeah, watermelons originated from South Africa. Didn't know that. Most melons were originally bitter, but growers cultivated them to create more flavor. Despite the name, watermelons aren't scientifically classified in the same category as other melons. Instead, they share some characteristics with gourds.
Ah, grilled watermelon. I see that's what we were showing there.
I've never had grilled watermelon.
Me either.
Doesn't sound...
Sounds fancy.
Yeah.
Not your thing?
Watermelon, yeah. Peaches, though. I've had that.
Yeah.
We brown sugar on. It's really nice. Anyway.
yeah.
Maybe it's the same thing.
I don't think so. Peaches are amazing. Watermelon, yeah, that's just my opinion. All right, so I want to take a look at a great time lapse here of our sky. This is looking off to the west-northwest. 3:30, 4:30 p.m. and then boom, those clouds really fill in and we get some rain, and that's why the camera gets knocked out a bit, basically because of the lightning that's associated with it. So speaking of rain, looking at it over the past 6 hours on the radar, you see that development in the hill country earlier this afternoon. Then it pushes southward and boom, it really fills in right over San Antonio. This is what we like to see. But even west of town, we have some good activity as well. You get right on the border of Uvalde and Medina counties, a few downpours there, good for some farms, ranches, and whatnot. But you get into Bexar County, and that's where the bulk of the action is. And these little white lines here, those are the exact lightning strikes out there. Not a whole lot, but there is some, and that's enough to knock out power in a few locations. I did notice our web team sent out a push alert of about 4,000 people without power, according to CPS Energy, and that is likely a result of the lightning strikes. And we'll put this just in the current radar mode. Take a close look on where we have the heaviest rainfall, China Grove area, even stretching into Lavernia. And you see down into Elmendorf, Calaveras, Browning Lakes. Oh yeah, that's some good soaking rainfall. Kirby, New Berlin as well. And west side of town as well. Of course, we've got the decent rainfall on the west side, Alamo Ranch, Lackland. Down towards Somerset, it's starting to fill in Lacoste and Lytle as well. So this is with a current look at it. This is good rain. It is starting to let up on the north side of town, but you get into downtown, Alamo Heights, down into basically UIW area, down into downtown and I-35 corridor downtown, and that's some of the very heavy rainfall that we have. So this is all progressing southward gradually, not all that quickly. It's as good. We want it to take its sweet time and dump as much rain as possible. Putting it into action here. We also have some outflow boundaries that are colliding here, and that's why we have those downpours right over Livonia. Those outflow boundaries came together and then popped another new storm, and that's what we had yesterday, the outflow boundaries triggering other storms. So in terms of actual rainfall and how much rain we've had, take a look at just over the past 6 hours. You see that fill in with the animation, but we can get into specific neighborhoods. For example, let's get on the west and southwest side of town here. Okay, you see Lackland. We're going to get in a little bit tighter, closer to the SeaWorld area. And you see Military Drive right here. That's where we've had a lot of good soaking rainfall. Just north of Highway 90 and west of 1604, 1.9 inches. And you get even a little farther to the north, 1.5 inches. So that's some good soaking rainfall. Where you see the green on the screen, that typically indicates about an inch or more of rainfall. And there's a lot of that from parts of the hill country, but especially now here in Bexar County and San Antonio with the vast majority of that rain. And look at this right here, just east of Bulverde, you get into some of these really heavy pockets of rainfall that we've had, and boom, it dropped some nearly 2 inches of rainfall there just north of the Cibolo Creek. So that is nice to see. Good soaking rain, non-severe in nature, and just good for the lawns, gardens, and of course the aquifer. That's all pushing southward. Now temperatures have taken quite a hit from this. Temperatures are lower. I mean, we had 100 earlier today, but right now we're significantly less than that because of the rainfall and the rain-cooled air that we have in place. Come on, clicker. Hold on, let me get the other one. It works better. Bingo. All right, there we go. Look at that, down into the 70s now. Divine, no rain yet, 94. But you go to Castroville, 79, 75 in Helotes. And elsewhere where you're under the sun, of course, we're still into the 90s and right near 100. Del Rio, 103. So rain ending around sunset, then the sky will clear out a bit later this evening and tonight. Not much in terms of a breeze. And then tomorrow, 77 in the morning, then making our way to 101 by the afternoon. And unfortunately, our weather pattern's shifting. We're not going to be so lucky in terms of afternoon showers the rest of the week. Just sunny and at or slightly above 100.
Look at that. Thanks, Adam.
I know. I see it's 74 out right now, as low as we could see for 7 days.
Hold on to it.
Yeah. In case you missed it, coming up next. Here is today's In Case You Missed It. Governor Greg Abbott announcing once again today that the school districts should decide when and how to reopen.
Today, many teachers asking administrators to use that flexibility by keeping their campuses closed until it's safe.
The San Antonio Alliance of Teachers and Support Personnel rallied to take a stand against what they're calling dangerous school reopening plans.
They're all here to let students and our colleagues and our families know that we're going to stand up for their health and safety, and we're going to do what's right.
The San Antonio Alliance is asking district leaders across San Antonio to commit to virtual-only instruction for at least the first 9 weeks of school, and to keep all campuses closed until it's safe to reopen them.
Bexar County firefighters trying to figure out what sparked a fire at a home in West Bexar County. Fire officials tell us that when the crews got there, the house was already collapsing. They were only able to fight those flames from the outside. The cause of the fire is being investigated.
Trouble may be brewing in the White House Coronavirus Task Force. Today, President Trump criticized the coordinator of that task force, Dr. Deborah Birx, after she warned the pandemic is widespread.
What we're seeing today is different from March and April. It is extraordinarily widespread. It's into the rural as equal urban areas.
$221 million. That's how much unclaimed cash Bexar County currently has, and some of it could be yours. Right now on KSAT.com, we have a breakdown of funds by city. It was provided to us by the State Comptroller's Office. You can view the full list right now on our website. We also have a link and phone number to find out if any of it belongs to you. Just go to KSAT.com, look for this story on the homepage.
The radar lit up right now, and so is the CPS Energy outage map. With this rain, we're seeing some lightning there, as you heard Adam Caskey mention, likely leading to these outages. CPS Energy reporting about 5,770 customers without power right now.
Yeah, it kind of gives you a good idea where we're seeing the heavy rain out there, Adam.
Yeah, exactly. And we still have some lightning associated with it, but not a whole lot. Most of it's east side of Bexar County, China Grove eastward into Lavernia, New Berlin area as well, with most of the lightning, and a little bit on the west side, basically 1604 and Highway 90. This is all progressing southward, so it's going to gradually come to an end here over the next hour or so from the north to the south. And it already has a history of over an inch of rain. Unfortunately, not so lucky the rest of the week. Just sunny and right near 100.
All right, enjoy the rain. Thanks, Adam.
See you on the Night Beat at 10.